There's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dreams. As I look upon my life, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dream.
Hello, hello, hello. If you were live, welcome back. If not, hi. We live in South Africa, guys. That's all I can say. We live in South Africa. Electricity is a thing. It's a real privilege. So, hi.
When you do have it.
So, yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today. We are starting from the top. So if you have been here, welcome back, and you are here for an intro yet again. Thank you so much to Joan for the opportunity for me to host Let's Talk with Joan on a Thursday. Catch us every Thursday and subscribe to the channel, like, and see what else we have to offer. So we're going to jump right into it, and today we are doing the Gab Fest. So a lot of people don't know what the Gab Fest is, but if you Google, what's the word, Anks? That word that I can't say?
Synonyms.
If you Google that word, Gold Talk, one of the words is a Gab Fest. One is gossip though, but this ain't gossiping.
And like I said earlier, it's like a big glitter bomb goes off and the ladies are together.
Yeah. So basically Gab Fest means women coming together and just sharing our opinions. So today's show is specifically us speaking about things that are trending today from a woman's perspective. And on the show we have Anka.
Standard feature, this one. Furniture of the show. So, yeah, I'm here every other day. So,
if you don't know who Anka is, go watch a few more videos where she does introduce herself.
A couple of times.
And we have our guest today, who you haven't seen before, my dear friend. Thanks to Instagram. Are we doing this again?
I think we should.
Thank you to Instagram. We keep in touch. Me and Jess have not seen each other for 14 years. And we went to school together. So we were just saying how we are so grateful to social media that we could still keep up in each other's lives through likes, comments, and DMs.
And bridge that gap. But I'm so happy to be here. This is exciting. And I think I'm looking forward to getting into the topics a little bit more, you know?
Yeah.
So thank you for inviting me, Vanj. Thank you for liking my things. Thank you for bridging the gap, but I'm happy to be here.
Thank you so much. So we're going to jump right into it, right? And Jess is going to lead our first topic for us, right? We're just going to speak anything and everything that is relevant to women today. And it might not just be to women, but this is from a woman's perspective, okay?
Yeah.
Jess, introduce yourself again,
Sure.
please, and then just jump into the topic.
So guys, I'm a presenter and a producer, and I'm also a voice artist, and I work part-time for a social enterprise called the Change Collective Africa. So we are in the space of content, and some content that's been striking me lately are, I don't know, do you guys listen to podcasts? Which are your favorite podcasts?
Xavier listens to podcasts, so that just means that I secondary listen to those
I must be
podcasts.
honest, if I do listen to something, even if I watch something, I never look at the name. I'm not someone who looks at a name. I don't know who's speaking. I don't know what's the name of the show. I don't know anything. With the series as well and a movie. If you ask me, have you watched, I can never say yes. I must say what happened in it.
Yeah, show me and then I'll tell you if I watched it.
So I can't really be exact but one name I do know for sure is Raven Elise, but she just speaks about random things, and it makes no sense to me because her podcast is about being a single mother. I'm not a single mother, but Ashley works a lot, so she obviously has to see to her daughter herself, so the way she handles things, I think I like that about the actual show. How she sets up the house, when she cleans, when she cooks, dropping the kids off, that like kind of thing. How she manages. So I think for any woman, it's something nice to listen to because
Yeah.
women do take most of the brunt when it comes to kids.
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
You got the
No.
softer side. I get to listen to Ben Shapiro.
Ben Shapiro.
Yeah.
And I think what's exciting about podcasts is whatever your interest, whatever you want to learn, there's so many different people putting out content. I listen to, and she's actually a preacher's kid, but yeah, she's disassociated herself from the faith a little bit, but she hosts these Rise Women's Conferences, which are basically just about wellness, leadership. And what I found interesting was one day, she had a podcast that said, this is why the next 12 months of your life matter. And I was like, oh my word, I need to listen to this. And in it, she was speaking about, she had done a lot of work or a lot of interviews with different neuroscientists where they analyzed the brain, and they were trying to help her understand that when the brain goes through uncertainty, or when it goes through like a series of uncertainties, like war or a pandemic or things like that, and the certainty that the brain is used to, that autopilot, I know I can get coffee here, I know when I get to work this is going to happen, I know I have a job, I know, just those things that give us certainty. They were saying that when you take those things away and the brain is constantly just in survival mode, it causes this thing called lizard brain, basically where you're not exerting yourself at your best, you're just trying to survive. And with survival comes anxiety, it comes a lot of stress, comes a lot of those things. So I listened to her podcast, and then after that, I saw an article in the Harvard Review, and it's this one, which said, our brains were not built for this much uncertainty. So it's not like in her podcast she was saying, so this article has nothing to do with her podcast, but I found them so interrelated, explaining that we as human beings don't like talking about how much the pandemic has affected our ability to think at the level that we used to think, because now we're just thinking, what's going to happen to my job? What's going to happen to my kids? What's going to happen to this? If I walk
The
out
food
the
on
door,
the table.
am I going to
Yeah.
catch COVID? What's going to happen to me? You watch the news.
Yeah.
It's just like this constant bombardment of uncertainty. And a Christian clapped back at me for posting this on my WhatsApp story, saying, and he said, what is your stance as a believer? And he's a friend of mine. And I said to him, but surely as human beings or as Christians, you understand that we are spirit, we are mind, there's different compartments of
Yeah.
us. We're in the world, but we're not of the world. We have this flesh that can sometimes just be such a thorn. And the brain has experienced a lot. So he was saying, but our faith, this is where our faith must kick in. And I'm like, yes, that's our spirit speaking to the mind. The mind always has to be renewed.
Yeah.
Because when you're going through so much, the uncertainty can get to you, whether you're Christian, whether you are
human.
you are
essentially.
human, and
At the
we
end of
are
the day.
and we're spiritual beings having a human experience. So I don't know what you guys might think about this, but I just found it interesting that as a Christian, am I allowed to talk about the fact that my mind goes through a lot? And when I read the word, or however I use my faith to then come back and say, okay, you've got to pick yourself up. You live by faith and not by sight. The constant renewal of your mind. So this was an interesting thing that we spoke about.
For me personally, it's not really a difficult question, because all Christians go through everything. All Christians go through
It doesn't
anxiety.
mean you get saved. All
Yeah.
problems
Now
of
you're
the world,
immune.
poof.
Yeah, it's gone now. I mean, how many Christians do you know that go through depression?
Yeah.
That go through financial difficulty, anxiety, all these elements? All Christians, as all people do, go through these things.
Yeah.
Do we all handle them the same? No, we
No.
don't. And it's impossible to expect that all Christians should handle it in the way that the word.
Yeah.
It's a learning process.
Yeah, and I loved, but I have to say this though. This was a challenge I loved because it made me think about the interrelation of all the compartments that make me human, all the compartments that make me a woman, the things that I've had to do. So it made me think a lot, and it challenged me a lot, but it also made me think, as a Christian, am I allowed to speak about the natural experience that I'm having versus the spiritual experience that I'm having?
There's one thing for me, that I always say sticks out. People think that when you're a Christian, you pray, you read your Bible, you praise and worship, and that is you being with Jesus. Keep in mind, our human side wants affection. Remember? So you can pray every day in your isolation.
Yeah.
You can read the Bible every day. But if there's nobody hugging you, if there's nobody actually speaking back to you and saying everything is going to be okay, if there's no girl trips, you know, I'm not going for lunch with my friends anymore, I'm not doing this and I'm not doing that, that affects you so much more. I mean, how many times during this time people don't give up because of their faith? I feel personally, they know this is what I'm supposed to do, but they long the relationship of people that can actually touch them.
And I just think that having a faith puts you in an advantage because you have something to fall back on. It won't protect you wholeheartedly in the sense that now you're immune to it. But it helps you with coping mechanisms. It helps you to get through it. But you'll still experience it, because the reality of the matter is, as much as we have faith, you should remember that there's a spiritual aspect, but there's a physical aspect.
There's a physical aspect as well,
You know, and how we deal with the physical aspects is intertwined with the spiritual, yes. But it's not to say that this is going to solve all the problems in the physical. It's not going to solve it. I mean, if I get cut, I have to patch it up. It's bleeding. I have to put some medicine on it. You know, that's the reality. That's the physical. I can't just say, pray for it. It's bleeding. It's a deep gash. I might bleed out, but now I need to just pray for it. I have faith the soul will heal up. Yes, I do, but I need to stop the bleeding.
It's the same like the verse that says, faith without work is dead. It's the same thing when you go mentally as well. Your faith is there. But what work are you doing to keep yourself going? And that's unfortunately the article that we're speaking about is the work, if I can relate it to the scripture, is the news. It's the being nervous driving on the road because I don't have my mask on and here's the police. I mean, you know, you get fined for not having a mask on in your own car.
I've been driving past the cops.
Something as uncertain as that. You know, it puts so much pressure on you. You panic. Don't stop me, don't stop me, don't stop me, kind of a thing. Because you're so scared of the stories. And I think that's where that part also comes to play. That you can have all the faith in the world, but unfortunately, your brother and your sister out there, they might not have that faith. And our lives intertwine, and
you worry about yourself, you worry about them, you worry about everybody. There's so much uncertainty.
And I think I even said to him, friend, you know what we need to do? We actually need to engage the subject. Because I think engaging with the subject is going to help. So I was like, listen, when you're ready for an Instagram live, friend, we got to talk about it. And to this day, I don't know how it went with him. He hasn't responded to my last WhatsApp. He blue ticked me, but it's fine. But I just think that, I don't know, I feel like it's good to engage our experiences. And what he was saying to me was very true. No matter what the brain is enduring, we always have to like bring it back to the highest thing that you know. Bring it back to like that I walk by faith and not by sight things. So it was a 50-50. I'm happy we had the engagement, and I think had we not had that whole thing about this, I probably wouldn't have brought it up here on the show today. So and maybe
when I called you, like, we have to talk about it.
Like, and I'm that person, you know, when I find content that's relevant, I just want to talk about it. I want to know what other people are thinking. So maybe in a certain way, you know, all things work together for good.
And
now
remember,
we're talking about it.
not everybody has faith.
That's true.
So what about those that do
don't
not believe or is in a different form of religion? You still need to have answers for those kind of people. You can't throw the Bible in their faces.
True.
I wouldn't say that not everybody has faith. I would just say that everybody is dealt a certain measure of faith, and some people just have a lot less than most do.
I don't mean in Christian. I mean with everybody around. So articles like this, you can't just think from a Christian perspective.
And that's, you know, that's the life we live in, that you get extremists. You get people that are on
Yeah.
the side saying
I
Bible bash.
thought something in my mind as you said that, but we'll get to that at the end.
So I just want to bring this in here real quick. Lady S commented, people need people. We are built and created like that. True, Evangelique. We need the interrelationships, fellowship, and our sister girlfriends.
I love that.
so-
You know, I absolutely love that. And you brought up such a relevant point about just what a human being might need, like touch, you know, just not having touch. Like the pandemic has robbed a lot of people of physical touch, that
Yup.
social interaction, you know. So I can't wait for the day when this is all going to be a story that we're going to tell our kids, because I believe that day will come.
Yeah, we're gonna be the World War II.
Exactly. Like we're going to be the Spanish flu of like 100 years ago. Like
We're gonna be like, we survived, guys. We survived.
We made it.
We made it. Okay, so with that being said, there is another topic, right? So this segment is what was trending on Twitter, right? So
Yeah.
you said all this uncertainty.
yeah.
So we got a tweet, and the tweet reads, oh, I don't have my, Jess, can you read there from your angle, just what that tweet says?
Y'all are so lucky I'm wearing my contacts. Anyway.
No, really, eh?
So Kaya Dlanger tweeted, the WHO is worried about trends that show 29% of global births will be by C-section by 2030. In South Africa, C-sections account for 70% of all births on our medical schemes, making it the highest. Yay, we're just trying to get behind the head there.
highest
The
rate
highest
in the
rate
world.
in the
Oh,
world.
sorry, my head.
So, with all this uncertainty, this is a topic. This tweet made
Gosh.
a lack of a better term, it rarrad.
rarrad.
It rarrad on Twitter. People was you have your team C-section.
Yeah.
You have your team natural birth.
Yeah.
Whoop,
But
whoop.
most of the comments though was, unfortunately, in a government hospital, you don't have the option, right? It's natural birth, and only if they see
Absolutely
it's
necessary,
needed,
yeah.
they go C-section, right? In a private hospital, you have the option, C-section or natural birth.
Okay.
But many of the people, the reason why it made so much noise, that people were kind of going at their gynaes. My gynae said, I have to have a C-section.
Yeah.
What day is your show?
Yeah.
Okay, we are back. Thank you so much if you're still here. But as we were saying, sorry, as we were saying before it cut, there's this whole thing where people were clapping back at their gynaes, right?
Yeah.
People were sharing their experiences on Twitter about, my gynae forced me to have a C-section. They told me it's impossible. They told me A, B, and C. And then you have your people in government hospitals where their gynae doesn't give you an option. They don't even know who is delivering their baby on that day, because
Yeah.
it's just like a come through, go out, come through, go out.
Conveyor belt.
A conveyor belt, that's the word. But then it's only those who are seriously in need that will go in and get the C-section. But I tried also doing research, because a lot of people were clapping that private hospitals is trying to make money off of this whole thing. We do not take away, because there is people that really do need C-sections, because it became a whole fight, like as in, if you don't give natural birth, you weak, kind of a thing, because you're taking the easy way out. And so, natural birth, it was just a fight between women or men sharing their girlfriends or wives' experiences.
But why is it a fight if, look, I'm not a mom, I've never given birth, I just know off of like everybody's experiences, but why is it a fight how your child came into the world? Is it like, maybe you guys can help me understand?
So there's two sides to the story. There's those that give natural birth that, I don't know, they just, no offense to those that gave natural birth, but they think, when someone says they think they pooped ice cream,
Yeah, but there is a sense of
stigma that
there's
if
an
you
arrogance about
yes, if you gave natural birth, you are the shizness. And if you went C-section, there's something wrong with you.
It's the same concept with breastfeeding. Oh
Yeah.
no, I just give breast milk. But I can't give breast milk, so I give formula because I'm unable to produce. So it becomes a shaming.
It's a shaming between women.
Between women.
Really?
Whether you gave natural birth or a C-section.
I think it's much better now, but around about the time when we gave birth, there was a big thing about, oh no, it must be natural.
But
Everything
based
must
on
be
the
natural.
tweets, I'm telling you, they're at the same place.
Yeah, okay. So
It hasn't
okay, we
changed.
haven't been in the world because we're not giving birth right now, but by
Yeah.
the time we did it. And it's really becoming a thing where everyone is so opinionated, but I just give natural birth and you are so weak. No, how could you take, because some women actually opt for it. They can go natural, but they opt for it.
for it.
For C-section, yeah.
Having been through natural birth, I didn't do complete natural, however, I did epidural. So that begs to say, okay, fine, I did natural, but I didn't experience all the pain. You know, so there's different elements to go with this, but having been through the process is extremely excruciating. So and knowing that the recovery process afterwards, mine took a little bit less than someone who
Didn't
did
have.
C-section.
Okay.
And me seeing people who go through the recovery with C-section, they had it worse than I did. So you really start to think about behind the scenes, why are we shaming each other? Because each woman has their own
Yeah,
journey.
you going through your issues during labor, and I'm going through my issues recovering.
And it's
Yeah.
and it's excruciating.
I just think, because we're just in the season in the world where everyone's experience, we want to lump it onto everyone and everything. And I just think how your baby came into the world, be happy that
That
your
it came
baby
into
did
the
come
world, yeah.
into the world. But I think the worry here, though, with people clapping back at their gynaes is just the whole, are you guys making it so that you're planning the C-section so that you guys can make it to your conferences and whatever other
Yes.
things you're doing?
So
you can plan your life.
Your life around your C-section.
And that also begs the question of, are gynaes allowed to have lives as well? Like, it's just
It does
it's
beg the
just
question,
a lot.
because if I'm a gynae and I have 30 clients this month, 30 patients, and every patient comes in 2 o'clock in the morning, there's one at 10 o'clock, there's one at 1 o'clock, there's one at 11 o'clock, there's one at 12 o'clock. It does actually, if you were a human, you come to work from 8 to 5 or 8 to 4 or 9 to 5, and when you go home, you,
Yeah.
my working hours is done.
And besides that, they even from family functions, they have to leave to deliver a baby.
So that's actually quite an interesting topic to raise, eh?
Yeah.
Because yes, maybe ones with more money, but remember, if you C-section, the interest on insurance as a gynae is much more. It's in the hundreds and millions already. I think when I gave birth to Isaiah, it was 1 point something interest at that time for the year as a gynae.
So who does this go? Does it go to the gynae or
No,
to...
the gynae has to pay insurance, his insurance fee.
Oh.
So they're saying that gynaes are trying to make more money for the hospital and A, B, and C. But now, after you said, don't they have lives as well? I'm a bit unsure about my answer.
kind of devil's advocate. Yeah.
Yeah, and anyone would say, no, but this is the career path that they chose. And I'm like, hey, this is a touchy subject. All I would hope is that as a gynae, you're creating a good balance. If someone asked for a natural birth and maybe...
you're forcing it down their throat to
I
have
don't
a
think it's good
C-section.
to... Yeah, I don't think it's good to
Then
force.
let's be open, because look, I've had inside information where it is a thing in South Africa where it's common where they rather opt for C-section because
Highest in the world.
yeah, because it's convenient. There are other factors, but the conveniency is a loud factor for me in the sense that if you coming in at 6 o'clock the evening and saying, okay, fine, I'm in labor now, I'm experiencing pains and contractions and all of that, they first check, are you dilated? Are you not dilated? It takes longer. Are you dilated? How long? You could give birth at 1 in the morning. I have a family to go to. Now, you have to consider all these things that, yes, they do have families to go to. They've been working because they've been consulting all day.
Dilate for hours and hours
And hours,
and
even
hours.
up to 28 hours, people are in labor.
Sure.
So you have all these things to consider, and really, when they chose to do this as a career option, but do you really want to be held hostage by your career option? I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
I love what I do, But I don't want to be doing it 24/7. I want time with my family. I want time with my husband. I want time to go on holiday. I want the reason why I'm doing that is so that I can also live.
Yeah.
You know.
I guess it's good then. I think maybe gynaes need to have a conference with each other and figure out how we're going to create balance where somebody wanted a natural birth, they can have a natural birth, they don't want to have a C-section, then how can maybe a colleague step in or something like that?
But also, if you are at a private hospital, you somehow manage to get the money, because remember, this amount is not play to give birth, right? And natural birth
It's like getting cheaper.
amount, is it still in your 20s? I'm not too sure.
It's
It's
well
in your
into
20s. And then if you go C-section, it jumps to your 40s.
Because there's the doctor's fees, there's the hospital fees.
There's
Depending if you're taking epidural, you pay on the spot for epidural.
How many days are you recovering? You sleep, your
There's
room,
the supplies.
how many nights?
There's a lot of things that
So
go
I
with it.
think maybe it would be good to have this and have an actual gynae here, and people from
what
the
I was
industry.
about to say now, if you have your medical aid,
Yeah.
right? Remember, if you're at a private hospital, you either have medical aid or you manage to get enough funds in to give the birth. Is it safe? Is it fair? Not is it safe. Is it fair to say, if you can afford that, why don't you go to some place like Genesis where they give the natural? I understand the amount, but if you have a proper medical aid, because remember, those that are going to private hospitals, they somehow found funds somewhere. And they have medical aid. Is it fair to say then, why don't you get, what's the ladies that help you give birth at home?
A midwife.
A midwife and
doula.
all of those things.
So I dabbled into that. With my, you know how I was. I was insane.
She was even,
I was
no,
crazy with
she's
my
not
first one.
taking any painkillers. She's not.
I was insane with my first child. Even the doctor, he would be like, yeah. I want to do natural birth in the water, all these types of things. Everything's just going to be natural. It's just a hunky-dory. It's going to be a walk in the park. So I dabbled into that. I did research on Genesis. It's an insane amount, but you have like a hotel room, a bath. Your husband gets to be there. You guys get to spend the night
like a
together.
little
It's like it is. But now you have to face the ass, and then you pay insurance as well, because should something go wrong, if the complication occurs, they have to have ambulance on standby. Then you need to be transported to hospital anyway to have a C-section, because they don't do C-sections on site. So there's all these things. I mean, my mother gave birth at home. She had a midwife, and there was no complications. But you need to take into consideration that not everybody is I went on like a spring chicken, so I needed to be there and I needed to get the epidural, which meant that I needed to be at a hospital. Which was contrary to my, everything needs to be natural.
I remember, somebody can only take so much pain. The pain of labor. Some people say, I'll never get a tattoo. I can't deal with pain.
I am that. I am she.
So,
I am her.
woman, I feel like the same way everybody has a choice in society today. If I want my C-section, okay, besides the point where the gynae is forcing it upon you, but let's say the 70% of South Africa, let's say 60% of them wanted the C-section. I don't take it away from them.
I don't know what the ratio is or what the rates is of women who die in child labor.
I
but
tried finding it on child labor in a government hospital. They don't have exact
but
numbers.
it's high. The rate is high. So you're thinking about childbirth, being pregnant is a risky experience in itself, because people die midway through. I'll never forget, and this is very sad, that one of the kids who were at our school, the mother was pregnant. She was 4 months pregnant, and he was a year and I think 3 or 4 months. But the mother was pregnant 4 months. She died during being pregnant, and because of the pregnancy. So how many other women, that's one case we know. How many
and
other
we know
women?
other cases as
Yeah.
well, but that's just one that's like recent.
We've had cases. I've heard of cases, and this is a friend of mine's cousin who gave birth to twins, and she died immediately after. Body went into septic shock, and then she.
So if you have the option to going through the
I'm not sure if it was
operation,
septic shock though.
I'm for it. I had 2 C-sections. I'm for it. So that's my
And
say.
here's the thing: there's a bond between you and your children.
It's still
you
a bond.
healed
Yeah,
up,
that's the other
the
thing. If
children
you
are
didn't give
normal.
natural birth,
Yeah.
then you don't have
You
a bond with the child.
That's absolute. That's a myth. Because what they do after a normal birth and a Caesar is exactly the same. They put the child in your chest for bonding. Doesn't matter where they came out. They came out
And
of
I
your
gave-
belly.
They came out of
I breastfed Scarlett. I didn't breastfeed Isaiah, but I have the same bond. Okay, so we spoke about the hospitals now, jumping into another topic, which has to do with the government. Jess, what's your take on this voting thing?
I saw Vange's eye going in my direction, like the government. I'll read that headline. The no vote, I think, Vange, did you bring this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did, okay. So the no voters, more than 13 million South Africans who can vote haven't registered for the 1 November polls. So, ladies, are you guys going to be voting? Why or why not?
Honestly, I did not register this time around.
But have you registered ever?
I have. Before I got married, I voted all the time. Okay,
Yeah.
I only had two.
Did
I
we
only
have
had
to choose
two
this
chances.
topic?
I only had 2 chances to vote before marriage, and I
Yeah.
voted, right? Since being married, I have not voted.
Got
And
you.
that's also
But
been...
you had a driving factor, though. The reason why you voted previously.
Yes, my dad was very for,
You must vote.
You must
Your
vote.
voice
Yeah.
must
you
count.
know?
As will most millennials' parents who went
And the first
through,
time
yeah.
I voted, I was forced to vote. I'm going to say I was forced to vote for Cope because we wanted a change. And I ended up voting for Cope. I didn't even know what Cope does, who Cope is.
Yeah.
Do they even still exist? I have not heard of them.
I shame they do still
since.
exist. They
They
do still
do.
exist.
So to be honest now, I
Yeah.
know. I listened to JJ saying, you have the responsibility to
Yeah.
bring change, right? JJ said, so if you're not voting,
This is
how
Dr.
is
JJ
change?
Tabani, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, she had a live with him, was it?
Yesterday. Yeah.
And I understand that, but I have no idea who to vote for.
But
Got you.
I must be honest.
Yeah.
I don't know who to vote for.
And that's wait, before I say that, will
I was
you
really hoping to just like go on with the conversation.
Yeah, and also, Vange, if you've registered before, you're probably still on the voters roll, so you can if
I've registered before.
Yeah, if
Can I
you've-
go with, because my surname changed, can I go with my gene ID that's still the old surname?
Ooh, yeah, no, these are now complex questions. I don't know. Okay, will you be voting? How are you feeling about
so
it?
I have never voted in my life.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I can vote in South Africa. I'm not South African yet. So I don't know what the procedure...
Really?
Yes. I am previously, before apartheid, I was South African, and then I ceased to be South African, and now I'm just trying to be South African again. And I'm being denied this right. So I have been back and forth with Home Affairs for the longest time, because by birth I should have been South African. However, we don't all know the systems, so I've been back and forth. I got
See,
an
that's why
ID.
we don't know who to vote for.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
like everything is like, they told me, no, I need to wait till after I'm married. I'm like, no, I've been married. In fact, I've been married
Almost 8 years now.
almost 8 years now, but I should have immediate citizenship based on the fact that I was born in 89 in Namibia, because it was one country. So all of these things, so I'm not even sure. I'm just trying to live my life out here. I'm seeing everybody. I'm not a political person, so I don't know what's happening. But
Yeah.
recently, with the whole PA and the COPE I know exists, so I know, they say you must vote da, but now you mustn't vote da, you must vote pa, So yeah, so now I know a bit about politics, but obviously I know Xavier them is, your voice must count, so yes, I'll probably get into that pretty soon.
Yeah, it's just an interesting time because never before, I mean, usually, and anyone can correct me if I'm wrong, I am so ready for any clapback, it's fine.
Bring it.
I'm used to it now. So there used to be the sentiment back then that, it's just the municipal elections, we want the national elections. But this year, there has never been this much hype about an election ever. So much so, I don't know if you guys have been driving around Joburg South, but Action SA is one of the parties that's been getting a lot of attention, as well as the Good Party. But
what
here,
color is their board?
Blue. No, green.
Oh, then
Action
I've
SA,
seen it. Yeah, then I've
it's,
seen
It's
it.
like a darkish green, yeah.
It's green. It says "Let's fix South Africa," and it's got the A, right?
Okay.
And there's a lot of support for Herman Mashaba because he used to be the mayor of Johannesburg, and according to a lot of people, he did a good job. Some will contest that, but anyway, he's got a big supporter base. I was driving to Mall of the South the other day, and I saw the EFF's poster. They specifically put it so that you can't see the Action SA one. And I thought, first when I saw it, I thought, no, man, it's probably just the wind.
Yeah.
But I'm driving past all the polls and I was like, y'all actually covered
It's a lot of wind.
the Action SA, and not just that, Action SA went to court now because the IEC had some rules about how long your political party's name can be. So apparently, Action SA said we don't have an acronym. Action SA is our name and that's it. But the IEC did not stop and say to them, you have to change it. They didn't say anything. Now, when the ballot papers were printed, Action SA, you see all the parties, Action SA is written there. No, the logo is there, but the name is not there. So it's just a logo and a blank space. And every other political party has got their names written there. So
Based on what? That it's too short.
based on the
long.
fact that the
can't be too long.
IEC has a rule that you're supposed to have an acronym. So I said, guys, but surely it's 2021. Why can't they just move the lines? Because the ANC
Like,
also
really?
had, the ANC had some issues in terms of, there was a deadline now that they missed. And the IEC made concession for the ANC. So if you can make concessions for the ANC, why can't you make concessions for Action SA?
Because they want to
and the-
use the last voting ballot papers to count so that there
Yeah.
is a million extra
So
voting
there's just like
ANC.
so much hype about these elections. If it's not party names, there are a lot of political killings that are happening in a lot of communities
Yeah,
right now.
everybody's dying by a
KZN,
car
Mpumalanga,
accident.
Yeah.
an
creepy.
EFF councillor was killed the other day, and it's just begging the question: if you want South Africans to vote, surely it should be a space where people don't feel highly
Bludgeoned into it.
bludgeoned into it. It shouldn't feel like, if I'm gonna vote for a party, does that mean other people are gonna die? If I vote,
Do you
is
know
it,
what makes
yeah.
me angry also? Not necessarily just about the voting. Listen, they're telling us in December we're going to have another spike in COVID, right?
Yeah.
But yet, for us to have our rallies, they're opening up for 2,000 people to be in one space. So where
Because
is...
COVID's not around right now.
COVID's not around right
COVID
now
doesn't
because
exist right
you
now.
need to vote.
Yeah. It's just one of those crazy
knows
things.
this.
And I think we need to, here's what I feel about this. We may not want to vote, but
But
this
you have to.
is a really
It's really
important
important.
time.
I have a question though, and I do agree with voting because not voting is a vote in itself. So I'm asking, like, with all this corruption going on, like, you vote, you voted, and there's never real numbers. And we know that there's a bit of competition now because our president isn't very popular right now.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, we still know who's going to win.
So here's what
That's honestly, sorry, before you say that,
Yeah.
I feel like that. I feel
Yeah.
like even if all people vote the same party, that it's a whole Zimbabwe situation and it doesn't actually count.
Yeah. So I think what this article is alluding to, and I should read it a little bit more. If those 13 million people actually went to go vote and they all voted for the same party, you've just brought a whole lot of new people into parliament. You've just brought the next mayors. You've just brought in the next ward councillors. So essentially, I think non-voters...
That makes it...
I
I'm
would
with
just-
you. I'm with you.
I would just want to appeal to non-voters to think about
Yeah.
the fact that, especially young people, I asked my husband's younger brother the other day, are you going to be voting? He was like, huh? and he's of age. And I wanted to appeal to him to say, you guys are not happy with the country. But if everyone
You just accept it.
who doesn't like the ruling party or who doesn't like the opposition party, they were mentioning that there are, I think, over 1,000 independent candidates that have signed up for this election. Independent. They don't have a party. They're just saying, I want to fix the country. There are over 300 different political parties. There's the good party.
So you
There's-
can vote for anyone, really.
You can vote. But
You
see, here's
can
my
pick-
thing.
take
So
your
we're
pick, yeah.
changing names again, right? Of the roads.
Yeah.
But our schools don't have toilets in them.
Now you see, Mos, you don't want to vote. Now you see.
Yeah, but now
yeah.
you see, there's
Now
no-
you
Now you
can't
don't have a
complain
voice.
because, yeah.
I know I can't complain, but even in Cape Town where the DA is running, they still don't have toilets.
But I think that was the importance that I started seeing the importance. So we drove through Elders a couple of times with this whole PA thing and all of that, and then you realize that when DA was had this as the ward and whatnot.
Nothing was being done. Or
I think
what?
I know a little more was being done than when ANC did it, and then you realize the importance of who you really have.
I have to vote
Yeah.
for. Yeah.
So now you're like, and you go through elders, and you're like, but really, no one really does anything for elders. Nobody.
Sure,
There's no
guys.
service delivery there at all. So now you come
There's
into
no Uber, there's no Mr. Delivery.
Okay,
There's
given the fact that there are factors contributing
Is
to
there
that,
rubbish
understand.
collection? Is there rubbish collection?
I don't
Is
know.
there water? Is there electricity?
in some places.
In some places, yeah. There's electricity in some places, yeah. So, and there's a lot of there's very few things that are seen to, like even the roads. If you drive through Aldos, you have to duck and dive, just to make sure you don't hit a pothole or something. But you see how certain communities are neglected. So now there's the rise of PA. And you're like, okay, fine, maybe they deserve. But the only way PA can come into some sort of ward or be is for someone to vote.
Someone's got to vote, yeah.
You literally have to get up and give your voice.
When PA started, I was like, okay, come on, guys, you're just being colored. How is this? This is not seeing a rainbow nation. But then when I started understanding that if PA does win, for example, in colored communities, they will at least have a
say,
leg to stand on for that community. So
Right.
for now, you don't have to win the whole South Africa.
Just the
Just win 1%
win the
time.
community.
Just
yeah.
to make it something, you know what I'm trying to say?
So is no one advocate for the good party? Is it just Ba?
Just bah.
I mean, so is there a distrust about Patricia DeLille or the good party?
I think there is a
Still
distrust.
working for.
She's working for trust there, I think. But I
Yeah.
think she's lost
Okay.
it,
She's
especially
lost it,
in
yeah.
like in Elders. PA is doing very well there right now, obviously for obvious reasons. But that whole argument, that's a different topic. But just for what it's worth, people saying, like you were saying, it's very colored or whatever. But each party came out of a certain community.
Same as we can say ANC,
yeah,
EFF.
came out of a certain
yeah,
community,
yeah.
and they actually use that in debates. Yeah, but it's just for color. So what if it's just for color? It's because each party comes from a certain community. It grows essentially. You want it to grow to sort of like blankets.
And it begs that whole question of like Musi Maimane, he has this movement called One South Africa movement, right? And he's running as an independent. But, and this is another topic, but I feel like this is where government has let South Africa down. All these different communities have different needs. It doesn't have to be racialized. It's just about what people need.
Yeah.
Can you give people what they need? Can you look at communities in the face and say, no matter what racial group they are you taking care of them? Does everyone have equal opportunity in South Africa, especially based off of what has happened in the past? So these are complex things, but all I'm just saying is if you have, guys, please just try and vote for someone. Bada, good, action, ANC, EFF, just somebody.
Yeah, before we go on, can I just bring in some of the
Okay.
comments? We've got Victoria Twala. Shoo! Coming to think that gynecologists are among the professionals that are highly sued because of the nature of their high risk clientele. I still salute them. I think that is
No,
That
that's
is very
true.
valid, yeah.
That's
very
valid.
valid. And then, Anka, you're not alone. I am not
Political person.
Yay.
here we go.
Yay.
Person yet I do vote. At least I'm not yet sure if I can vote this year because I haven't had a jab or a vax.
Oh, that's the other
I
thing.
wish they can say no vax, no vote.
Okay.
Some of us won't be voting then.
A lot of us won't be voting then. Okay, the next topic is a little bit more juicy, right? So, wow. Marriage for us can't be a prison. And I don't suggest our road for anybody. So finally, I mean, guys, I think I was still in primary school when people were saying, Will Smith and Jada Pinkett is in an open relationship. And all these years, they were denying. Then we thank God for August that opened doors.
Yeah.
Because then hit the fan. And Will's face could not hide any longer.
Yo, the memes. I'm still in shell shock from the memes of that.
Guys, what do you think about this couple?
Personally, I
The
think
couple itself, not necessarily the add-ons, like, the questions we're going to be touching on.
Yeah.
But the specific celebrity couple, what do you think? What are they trying here?
I think they are two really highly admired people. I'm not gonna lie. Like Jada, I mean, I respect her, but I've been the biggest Will Smith fan my whole life,
Yep.
But
For his work or for his marriage?
For his work.
for his work, I
Okay.
think for his work, for his personality, I just feel like his personal decisions, I can't lump what I want onto this couple. All I can say is that I really like Will Smith, man. Like, I watched iRobot the other day, guys. Come on. We love Will.
I can just stick with 7 pounds.
I do like his work though. I do
He
think
is good.
Yeah, he's good. I think his personality, he's doing something different now. He's doing the adventures thing,
Yes.
and he was in Namibia, so whoop whoop. And apparently the feedback we got from people that that were there, that were part of it, that he's a brilliant person to work with. He's a people's person, so that's something
But
nice.
you can tell by
By how he
everything he
is,
does.
Super
yeah.
social, loves people.
however, have a different view on his personal life.
So the reason why, so we can say this man is all that, right, in his work. But let's keep in mind, we get to a certain point to become role models, right? So if your personal life in any other thing, I mean, people at work, if their Instagram and their Facebook is up to something, they get warnings. And that's a normal person sitting behind a desk. This guy's, you can't even put him, where do we put him? He's higher than Cupcake.
Yeah.
We have more respect for him than we do Cupcake. So I'm just saying, what expectations does a celebrity like this bring upon marriage, those that are married and those that want to get married? What expectations is that?
I think it's good to contextualize. Has he ever, because for me, marriage is a very complex subject. You have issues of, what is the definition of marriage? Whose marriages are more valid than the others? Do the public even have a say in a personal decision that you made? What about polygamy? All these complex questions. For me, if Will, like you've got these people on YouTube and on all these different social media platforms who will speak about their marriage. They'll speak about the tips they give for marriage, advice they give for marriage. If Will Smith has been a person who does that, then I feel like we can clap at him. But he's not.
He's not advocating.
He's
for
not
it
advocating.
loud.
Keep in
Yeah.
mind, we're not saying that he is advocating. We're saying as a role model, what is this doing for the 21st century's marriages? So this is not normal for us, especially South Africa. Remember, there was YouTube all the time, but we weren't open to everything. There was Mnet open time, which was from this time to this
Where
time.
Goli would play.
No, so do you see what I'm trying to say? But now we are able to see all these things that the rest of the world had access to. So we can say that this is new. Usually when you get married in traditional ways, it's me and my husband.
And it's
until
hard as it
there's
is.
divorce or something. You go through your struggles together. But now that this is such a high-class couple, look, Jada is saying, I don't suggest this road for anybody, which obviously says things are not that happy there as well. Which also tells me, with Will's face on the red table talk, that there was nothing good happening over there. So I'm asking, with marriages today, if someone had to go get married today, are they expecting to marry? I want to get married into an open relationship. Or what if there's
That is
somebody
not
that's been
marriage.
married for 10 years and they think this is perfect and now all of a sudden introduces open marriages?
I think there's a lot of couples that do that. I mean, I saw some very disturbing content on TikTok. I think it's nothing new to a lot of people. They do introduce funny things into their marriage. But from a personal perspective, having been married for almost 8
Are
years
you up
now.
for it?
Oh, hell no. Marriage in itself is difficult. Coming with no baggage. Coming with no baggage and coming into a relationship, that in itself is hard work. Like, imagine adding elements to it. It's like, I can't fathom. Why would you opt to add? And another thing that I like to say is that there's always two sides to a story. No matter what, where in life, there's always two sides to the story. And on your comment that you said as role models, my problem with society nowadays is we follow mainstream. We follow what we see. We follow, that looks glitz and glam. You don't see what's going on at home. There's so much things we don't go.
They only show you what they want you to see.
And we don't go ahead to say, okay, fine, let me do some research. What are the stats on marriages? Even if it's on a secular basis, what are the stats on marriage? What are certain things that do cause issues in marriage? What are things that you generally... And then you look at these other things. Do a bit of research, because I mean, there's so many things. There's so many vloggers and podcasts and stuff on marriages. I mean, we have one where we speak about it, but that's obviously this is our journey. But there's so many others. So then go and do the research and then make that decision for yourself, as opposed to just seeing what's happening here.
Yeah, and I think, marriage in itself is so complex. Even in the Bible, you'll see many different kinds of marriages in the Bible. You'll see Boaz and Ruth.
Yep.
Yeah. You'll see Solomon and 700 women, 700 wives.
Open relationship.
I wasn't made for the time.
Do you know what I mean? So it's literally just about, okay, this is my opinion for a secular space, and especially with relation to will. What did the two of you agree to? Because some people get married for financial reasons. For some people, a marriage is just a legal contract
like that
gives them, financial privilege. To others, a marriage was to save a family or whatever. To others,
not necessarily for love.
Not necessarily for love. For others, marriage is love. We loved each other. We said we're going to work this out together. For other people, it's not just love, but it's covenant. It's a spiritual covenant. It's me, it's you, it's God. This is a tripartite alliance, but essentially it's the two of us saying we're putting God at the top and we're going to walk this together with God and whatever. What have they decided? And now, sadly, you've got to take the open marriage category and say, did they both sign up for an open marriage? If they did, none of us have a leg to stand on because it's their stuff, The only sad thing is that, let's say, in a particular space, people are trying to vouch for marriage to be the covenant one. This
is breaking that.
Is going to break the other one. So it's about, what do you define marriage as? Where are you in life? And what decision did the two of you make?
However, I would say that life lived forward gives you experiences. So you make a decision now in your young age. And I say that based on the fact that I read a segment of one of the articles where he spoke, and he said that when he was in his teens, the notion is, when they had that table talk, is that only Jada was busy outside. But the reality of the matter is, he also in the past. So he was basically weighing up, no, it's not just her, it's both. It was a decision we had made. And then he said that the reason why they dabbled into that at first, I might be a tad bit under correction, but the segment I read was that so he went to some therapist and he was trying to get some direction, and then this therapist suggested
introduce some
and then at first his Christian mind,
I don't have that stress to think about
like
what today. Oh hell no.
So essentially my question then becomes, if we're getting married but you're telling me it's an open relationship, essentially marriage is based on love and trust. So even if it's not love, even if it's to save some, there's trust involved there. It's a big element. So how do I trust you if there's somebody else?
But the sharing who's the somebody else. I think my problem is the fact that no matter what the reason is that you got married for, then let's say you wanted a green card. So now that we have it, let's go our separate ways and find love. That's my thing. I'm just saying, like, there's viruses, there's diseases out there, there's so many things. You are adding not only to somebody's emotions, because you don't really know. I'm going to be honest, even if Will dabbled here and there, his facial expression with that whole August thing
was very
he's not for it. And every article I've read, when he does say, okay, we are in an open relationship, he says, because Jada wanted this.
Or he alludes a little bit. He doesn't advocate it and say, this is what I want.
Do you know what I'm saying? So, okay, that's their personal stories.
That's their personal
thing, for me, honestly, I think it's messing up people that's still trying to have good marriages today. I think it's not godly.
And
Yeah, no.
besides that, I think it's important to also note that we as individuals, we are individuals. We must think independently as well and do our research. We can't just follow everything that's out there,
Yeah.
because what if we end up at the edge of a ledge, by
Yeah.
following somebody else? You're gonna jump too. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, but I think in this case, it really just boils down to two people. If the two of you in the beginning said
Agreed.
our marriage is that covenant
But
one,
do you know what?
this you can't look to this marriage for
Yeah.
your
But do you know what makes me think I'm not so sure? The fact that they've been denying this all these years. Right?
maybe they denied it because
And
they knew people
no,
were gonna come.
Not only that,
Yeah.
still, my thing is you denied this for all these years. Secondly, my other thing was they were known to be the longest married couple in Hollywood. That was their
Yeah.
stance. Everybody knew. And it's a black couple. They're the longest married. You see, black people don't have those issues. Black people don't get divorced. And then down the line, this is what we get. And it kind of takes back all that respect you had as a black marriage working for so long. Because let's be honest, people of color are expected not to be together for long. But now that you realize they're together that long because they're allowed to date, makes you question.
But my question is it really working?
You don't know.
You don't know
don't
because
know.
there's elements that are there. Yes, they're staying together. You don't see what's going on behind
You
the
don't
scenes.
know. That
You
house
don't.
is so
it-
big. He might be
Yeah.
staying in the east wing and she might be staying in the west wing.
So we don't know.
I just think that if whatever your marriage is based on, you've got to find the two people who exemplify that and then maybe run after that. It's very disappointing when people split, but hey man,
But also
essentially
not to split, and this is also disappointing for me, I must be honest.
yeah.
It's-
So
It's not okay.
I think, and this is, I guess, why Will Smith was saying that he just doesn't suggest their road for anybody, because clearly it's problematic and not everybody can achieve
Yeah.
this.
Not the smooth.
Not everyone
Okay.
can. This is not everyone's cup of tea.
So, is there something?
Yeah, can I just add here, Joan Hendricks, she says marriage is sacred and don't follow celebrities, but your
Yeah.
own beliefs, but your own beliefs in unison.
You see? So there you go. If you have a covenant agreement with somebody, you can't be looking to these two
You
then,
can't be.
unfortunately.
It's just I must be
Yeah.
honest, my heart dropped because you think like they've been worshipped all these years for having the longest relationship in Hollywood.
yeah.
Okay, next topic is a very, very touchy subject, right?
Yeah.
So, this has been big on social media, on Twitter, on everywhere. Anks, read. I can't see to save my life.
Yeah, can I have my glasses there, please? None of us can see.
Okay, so basically they're saying it's not. Okay, I can see a bit of. Let me squint.
It's not progress. Social media erupts in outrage after transgender MMA fighter who transitioned after serving in U.S. Army Special Forces defeats French woman.
Okay, and then if you can just read the tweet that's been building up the whole.
Doesn't matter what you call it. All I see is a dude trying to beat up a girl. The difference
Sure, guys.
in aggression, movement, and coordination is striking, even at the poor level. Alana McLaughlin is showing what? Condoning this will eventually lead to tragic accidents. Alana McLaughlin, born Ryan, began her transition in 2010 after leaving the U.S. Army Special Forces.
And that's what he looked like
Yeah.
before transitioning.
So the argument here really is that he did a 2-year hormonal treatment. He went through the treatment, and then he had to obviously lose some weight to tone down his, a bit of his muscle density. And then also, he went through the gender reassignment and all of that. And that essentially made him a woman and could make him compete. But the question for me is, does hormones or hormone blocker treatments and stuff like that, does that essentially make you female?
Not necessarily with sports specifically. Is it okay?
I
for
think
for transgender.
For transgender, because essentially in his case specifically, which is mixed martial arts, you have, in any sport, you have a category which is women and men, and then you have certain, some sports you have the weights and all of that going, so
Yeah.
that you know that it's fair, that it's a fair fight.
And this is hardcore hitting.
This is,
It's
yeah.
not we running next to each other.
This is, I'm
I
hitting
don't
full
touch
force.
you. Let's just see who gets to the end of the line.
This is life or death. There's really a life on the line here. And the other thing is this, that, you know, look how he looked before. Yes, he's toned down a little bit, but, you know, the bone density is still in place.
My question is, the women who are in the sport, have they had a say in this issue? Have they had a say in whether, as a sport conglomerate, they are okay with the issue of having transgender individuals who identify as female as their competitors? Do they even have a say? What has the board of this, you know, have they all agreed? Because if this woman has not agreed to this, and I guess this just goes, you know, I've been watching this series called Bad Sport. And Bad Sport, basically what you learn is that every sport has a leadership. It has a fraternity, it has a something. And, or a board where people within that sport with influence can say, we don't like this element in the sport. This is not going to be fair. This is not going to whatever. So my question is, as a conglomerate, did they have a day where they voted about this? Did they have a day where they said, okay, we're going to allow these things? If this woman did not agree and she has to endure this, then my question is the sport really okay with the fact that genetics are going to play a big role when two people are beating each other up? Because if somebody has muscles like this and he was previously a male, then it just raises a lot of questions.
It does.
So according to the research that I've done so far, the lady who was the opponent, she did agree to it, and it was.
Oh, she did?
She did agree to it, and
Okay.
there was, and then the board did sanction it, so they were all for it. So, but you still come to ask, is it a fair fight?
Is it a fair fight? Keep in mind, she's the second
Yes.
transgender now. The other one she was somewhat cancelled. Not necessarily cancelled, but the pressure made her resign early.
Yes. Also, as for
Rumor
so-
has it
rumor has
she
it.
split a woman's skull.
But it was also a savage fight. It was not a fair fight,
Yeah.
per se. So you go into this. I think these women go into this knowing what are the risks and all involved, because a couple of people have died. There
I mean,
are
this is
risks.
their jobs.
It's their jobs. But now,
They get paid a hell of a lot.
but they risk a hell of a lot. They risk their lives, because at the end of the day, they had a category going where it's women against women, and I think that should be the fairness of it. Because if I'm a man all my life, and I've been an athlete, I've been training and all of that. Now I've tried to enter into the Olympics. This is just an example, and I've tried to enter the Olympics, and I don't get anywhere, or I just lose. I'm all far behind. I'm like, you know what? I think I want to be a woman. Let me compete against the woman. Now all of a sudden I'm a champion because
That's true.
And
And I think what irritates me about this is that when it comes to Caster Semenya
I
who
was
did gender
mentioning that.
testing,
Yes.
and she was verified as female. Now she was verified as being female, but she was subjected to all kinds of. She has to take all these pills to bring down her testosterone levels, to make her in the same average
woman.
average around the same makeup as the other women. So I feel like this is something that the sport needs to consider. If you're going to make Caster do all these things,
Who is an actual
who
woman.
is an actual
Born
female,
woman.
then maybe in the sport, then they need to, if we're coming back to the genetic makeup of whatever, then we've got to talk about the muscle density. Maybe there should be a certain cap at which if you're transgender and you have a muscle density that's over what the average of the other women is. If an Olympic athlete had to do it, how come you can't do it? Because this is a sport about power.
Yeah.
It
So
is.
naturally, I don't understand why the sporting conglomerates and all these people don't have the same standards of fairness. If this person were black, I want to know if
Would it
this
have
would
gone?
have
So
still
the one
been
that
allowed.
did resign,
Yeah.
Fallon, yeah.
she was.
I'm not sure.
She's not
about
white. I'm not sure what she
that.
is.
Ethnicity she is, yeah.
but she's
Was she
not
forced
white.
to resign?
I don't
don't think
know
so,
that in
no.
full, because they still fighting that it's rumor
Oh my
that
word,
the head
guys.
was split.
Yeah, I just think
So-
the intentions need to be weighed up here.
So based
Yeah.
on the tweet that got all this going,
Mm.
I don't care what you call it. I see a dude trying to beat up a girl. So many of the threads started going on to, is this a gap for people who hate women to jump
Ooh.
into to beat
opening
up
up-
women
yeah.
openly?
Because that's what's happening. That for me is just abuse. I'm sorry. Because if you were in the house and that was happening, all odds are still unfair. It's the same thing in the sense that the odds are unfair. Why is this any different? 'Cause
Are we
this is-
just saying because it's a sport, it's okay?
it's okay. Is it okay? I don't think it is okay because that's a man beating up a woman, essentially.
And rumor, we don't know if it's true because we're struggling. We have found articles, but the names in every article seems to be different. So
Yeah.
we're not too sure, but apparently, and it was on the news, but we don't know if it's related to this specific fight. But the person was held at choke for so long that they ended up in hospital and a few months later passed away.
Sure.
So
I
we
th-
don't
yeah.
know how true
True
the
that
story is.
Yeah.
Been trying
But
to
the fact
verify
that
it.
they ended up in hospital, we don't know if the death is true.
Yeah, look, for me, sports is about fairness. If you as a sporting if you as a sporting group have said we allow transgenders to enter into the female category to compete against other females, as a sport, you all need to talk about what are the levels of fairness that we're going to allow, and do the players agree? Does
Everybody?
do the board agree? And if that is the case, and you as a woman still enter the sport knowing that you could encounter anyone who was once associated as male, then you as an individual have allowed yourself to be in the sport.
But is that not unfair? Because now you are somewhat forcing to
another
take
thing.
the jab. You're forcing, it's either you in the
Yeah.
sport
Because this
or
is my
leave if
dream,
you're
but
not happy.
I'm not signing up for
Yeah.
that. But this is what I really want to do. But I don't have any other options, so I have to sign up for that to be able to sign up for this.
I don't know. This
It's a
it's just
difficult
it's a
one.
difficult one. It's highly complex. All I'm saying is if this guy or if this lady or if this individual, let me use the right pronouns. If this individual is allowed to do this, then surely Caster Semenya is allowed
To
to
run
participate
in
in
whatever-
sports
in whatever
exactly
condition.
the way that she is in exact. That's all I'm saying. I'm for Caster.
No, but
Sorry.
but that's honest truth.
That's true.
I'm sorry.
It's
The
true.
things that Caster Semenya has
Has
been
to go
subjected
through.
to,
Yes.
and there was a time when she couldn't even participate. I'm
Yep.
sorry. This to me is a double
I
standard.
mean, they even wanted to check.
yeah.
However-
it's,
To
see
it's such
what
a
is
double
down
standard.
there.
We need to just take into consideration we live in a world of double standards.
But
That's the way it is.
it's not fair.
It's not fair.
It is really not fair. So,
Okay.
sorry.
Can I just bring in here one last comment? Victoria Twala. One has to know why one wants to get married, have a godly purpose and a godly vision. Marriage is sacred. My sister is correct.
Which is very true. And if you have decided, we as a couple, we have chosen the sacred path, you can't be then looking towards them
In the
as
other
an
lane.
example,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So
Like,
let them do them, you do you.
And but
Amen.
going to this quickly,
Yeah.
just the closing thing. What do you think sports should actually do? Do you think should there be? I mean, they're saying everything is a new normal. So can there be a new normal where we then have born female, born male, and then like a transgender category?
Yes, have their own category.
Or is that pushing it?
I don't think it's pushing it because, look, we're already in a space where you have to nitpick everything because if you do this, you get cancelled. If you do that, you didn't consider this. Then have a category of its
Because
own.
let's say with people that don't have a leg or something, there's a whole entire category for
For the
them.
Paralympics. Just
It
saying.
wasn't a choice
Yes.
that they ended up like that. This is a choice to go all the way.
It's
So
It's
It's
one of those.
unfair.
It's one of those.
Wow,
it's
one of
unfair
those. I don't know.
to be competing mainstream
Or-
because the reality of the matter is you aren't by birth that. Therefore, you have lived. He's lived over 30 years as a male. He's got male. There was imprinting on all his male genetics already by this point. So you can't put that in the same category, then create one where they all agree.
Or
whatever they
earlier
want
when
to
we
do.
spoke, Jess was suggesting then, if not, why not just open sport? Girl plays against boys, boys plays against girls,
And you know what
there's
you're signing
no
up for.
And you
female,
guys have
there's
agreed.
no male, there's
There you
if
go.
Bafana and Banyana is one team, let us be Banyana.
Yeah, but again, it just boils down to the aspect of fairness. Philosophically, I'm speaking for those who are talking about a gender neutral world. Then philosophically, you've got to now determine not the criteria. What's the word I'm
We
looking
can
for?
all use the same toilet, we can all play in the same field.
Look, the toilet thing is a completely separate issue. With sports, that sport, for me, if you guys are going to create new rules, everyone needs to agree with them, the participants, the board, everyone. If you are okay with fighting individuals who you know might be stronger than you, and you have said, me as a player, I find it fair. If you have said, let's say you sign on a contract, I find this fair, and you're going to fight this opponent, well, then it's something that you have
But
decided.
here's one thing, sports like these, it's the same like with soccer. If Man United kicks, I don't know soccer, I don't watch soccer, right? So if I do say different things, just bear with me.
Yeah.
But let's say there's one page that says 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? Man kicks out Pirates, so Man moves up.
Yeah.
Liverpool kicks out Man, like goes up, up, up. There's a winner. What if you and Anka sign the contract? I'm okay with it. I'm not okay with it.
And we end up
You
together.
win. I end up together. Am I forced to forfeit because I'm not okay with it and you become a champion, not by...
By
you know what I'm
default.
trying to
Yeah, not for
say?
But
working
this
for it,
is what
by
I'm
default.
saying. This sport, they need to sort out those things. That's why I'm saying the people who are over this sport, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Have they had that caucus moment where they've decided on these things and had these debates openly? I don't think so. You know, so it's both unfair. But again, I come back to the Casta issue. Again, Casta is my person. I
She's
keep
your one.
coming back to that issue,
It's
guys.
so true.
it's-
Okay, we
yeah.
have to end off. But before that, so yesterday we ran a poll about asking women, do you want to send anything just to get some little bit of advice from us? And I chose one, and here we go. Lee? Okay. Is it normal to be in a stable, secure marriage? It is gone. But oh,
Oops.
Anks, it's
Oh,
your head
wow.
again.
Wow, you're that big.
Is it normal? Remember, this is anonymous, okay? Is it normal to be in a stable, secure marriage but miss the recklessness of casual dating?
Yeah. You may go ahead.
Why are you looking at me? I'm just like,
Jess, you wanted to be surprised. Last night I asked, do you
She
want to
really
know the
did.
question so that you can prepare, or do you want to be surprised? She said, let it at me. Be surprised.
There's so many aspects to this question because I beg to ask the question, have you really dealt with your past life, and did you get into what you are now for the right reasons? Because why are you missing
Yeah.
your past life? But we are human. We do miss certain things. The difference comes in how we handle it. Do we act on it? Do we go back there, or do we remain committed to what we promised? But I beg to question, what is lying in your past that you do miss it that much?
I think my issue here is the word normal. Because also, as human beings, every single human being is different. So what one person might struggle with
The next-
coming from one season in their life, from being single to going into dating, everyone experiences this differently. And anyone could even argue, yeah, this is probably more of a question for men than it is for women, or, you know. But I just think the word normal, I think the person who asked this question should maybe ask, but if I feel that way, why do I feel that way? You know, I think this is a moment for self-introspection, this question. And the word normal means you're looking around to everybody else's marriage and other people's
And
relationships
comparing.
did everyone else did this? So that word normal, I'm looking at it and I'm like,
Do you know one thing for me as well? I want to go focus on the word casual dating.
yeah.
I'm somebody, I did not casually date, right? I literally had one serious boyfriend before marriage.
I
And
remember him. You went to the trick dance with him. I remember him.
okay.
Moving along.
Just moving along. So, for me, I feel that's what makes casual dating so dangerous. You have put your hand in so many, if you went casual dating to the extreme of maybe living together, sleeping together, those kind of things, that you now have something to compare with. I'm going to be honest, I got married a virgin. I don't have anything to compare with. I enjoy my life. I enjoy my husband. I enjoy our bedtime. I enjoy everything.
Yeah.
But I can't say that I miss anything
'Cause there's
reckless
nothing to
because
miss.
I wasn't reckless. Because I always said, the first person I'm with, I want to end up marrying. It didn't end up like that. And I know it wasn't going to work from the beginning. But when I found the one person I knew, this is what I want, I stuck with it for the long run. And I said, let's see where we go. So that word for me, the casual dating, makes it much more difficult to... I don't take anything away from people who do get divorced and stuff like that. I'm not saying that's a reason or something like that. I'm just saying it makes things a bit easier.
But I think the other aspect that you do, like for me as well, I'll also be honest, yes, I did get married a virgin. Did I date before? Yes, I did date before. And the analogy that I always use, or rather what I usually say, is that when you are with someone, you take something from them, regardless of how long you are together,
Yeah.
what you're doing, and you leave something behind. So
Whether negative or positive.
whether negative or positive,
Yeah.
and by the time you get to marry this one person, so a lot of the time, us as women, we have
Come with that baggage.
we come with a baggage, but we paint this fantasy in our mind, and we think that marriage is a magic word that makes everything else disappear. The reality is, yes, and I'm not talking down on anyone, because what I'm just saying here is that when you come to the point of being married, or saying, I'm going to commit my life to this person, you need to deal with all of that
We
stuff.
blame movies for that.
Yeah, you need to deal with all of that stuff, so that when you come here, then you say, okay, fine, why am I with this? Why do I want to marry this person? This person asked me to marry them, and I know they love me, but why am I getting into it? Do I want a house? Do I like the idea of
What they're
playing
giving
house?
me,
What they're
do
giving
they-
me, or the idea of married life? Do I like that, or am I willing to just stop with whatever it is and then move on? But the crux of the matter is to deal with it, and that's why I'm asking. I beg. I want to know, in terms of, if you're asking this question, what is laying in the past that you haven't dealt with?
That's so true. That is absolutely true. And I think, guys, dating is savage. Like,
It is.
dating is savage. If you had
The
a...
open relationship.
No, especially because, okay, guys, just this word, dating. Which era did you date in? Did you date in the 90s? Did you date in the 60s?
Was it a hookup? Was it
Or
a...
did you date in the 2000s or
Yeah.
the post-2000s?
And there was and what are you doing? Are you doing Christian date? What are you doing? Are
Which
you
kind of
courting? Are you
dating
dating?
are
What
we
kind
talking
of
about?
what kind of dating?
Because
are you
there's a
talking about?
category for dating just called vibing, where
Yeah.
you do not, it's not even exclusive. Like, it's just, I
it
feel your
doesn't-
vibe.
it-
I go to the movies with
it
you.
doesn't
I feel your
count.
vibe. I'm here. I feel
Yeah.
It doesn't count, but it's worth mentioning to the future husband. It's like, it's not there, but it's there.
But
Yeah.
advice I would give to somebody that's not at marriage yet
Yeah.
is don't every now and then go here, go. Don't vibe too much.
Yeah.
Because the
it,
more
it
you
has
vibe,
implications.
what
yeah.
Anka said now, you get something here, you get something there. And you picture this perfect man because the first man you vibed with gave you flowers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The second man you
You put it
vibed with
together.
bought shoes.
Yeah.
The third man you vibed with had his own house.
Yeah.
The fourth man you vibed with drove a M whatever, I don't know, cars. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
By the time you're married, you have all this expectations for your husband to have that car, to have that house,
they
to
must
give
live
you
up to-
all the roses.
Yeah.
So I would
This
just
phantom
advise
husband.
for people that's not there yet and you're still young enough. Don't vibe too much. Don't over vibe. You
Yeah.
can vibe to find the right one, but when you know this isn't for me, move on.
Yeah, I think the missing word, marriage. There's so many things you could miss about being not even recklessness of casual dating, but just being single, being able to make decisions where you
On
don't
your
have to
own.
consult anyone. Maybe you might miss, there's so many different things that you could miss. I think it's just about understanding if you made this decision, you've now got to align your mind, you've got to align your spirit now to the fact that you made this decision. The very thing you miss, other people who are in that
Is
state of casual
admiring.
dating are looking at you with your
Saying,
marriage and
I
they're like,
wish I had.
but I actually really wish I had that. So this is a loaded
It is.
statement. And I just think there's many things you could miss, but just say, but I've aligned myself here now. Don't be like that lady who in the Bible, they said to her, don't look back. And she looked
Look
back,
back,
and
not
then she
twice.
turned into a pillar of salt. You know, we can always look back, but it's not worth it.
It's not worth it.
But just the last thought from my side. In my experience, when this happens, is usually when you hit a rocky patch in your marriage.
In your marriage.
And I say that from experience. In my first 2 years of experience, me and Xavier speak extensively about this on our vlogs. It was atrocious. Like, I called my mother, I want to come home. And during that time, you think about, but when I was with this person, we did this and we did that. And you forget that you were dating. You didn't see all the bad and ugly.
And the money didn't necessarily come from that person. It was from
You
mommy
don't
and
see all that
daddy.
stuff.
That's
Yeah,
so true.
but usually when this happens is when you are experiencing a rocky part in your own marriage. Don't allow that rocky part to determine now, okay, no, this isn't for me because I prefer that kind of life. You know?
And also with that life, you can still have it with your partner.
Yep.
I've
Go date, go
myself,
have fun.
I always tell Anka, myself and Ashley, when we were dating, we would literally wake up in the morning and say, let's go to
Who
Sunset
does
today.
that?
And we get in the car and we go. When we say, let's go to Durban, we wake up in the morning, let's go to Durban
Just a
today.
5-hour
We go to
trip.
Durban and we
Yeah.
come back that same night. And then I told him, babe, since we're married, we haven't done anything on that. Guess what we did for my birthday this year? We
Pack
woke
the
up
kids.
at 8 o'clock in the morning. We all just got dressed in our costumes, got in the car, went to Durban, came back
Like-
the same morning.
like it's a
The
simple
next
drive to the
morning,
beach.
Yeah.
at 1 o'clock in the morning. It's what you are doing
Doing,
together
yeah.
as the couple. Don't lose yourself in marriage. How did you get the person? Continue doing that. How did I get my husband's attention when we were dating? Am I now no longer dressing the same? Did he meet me with eyebrows and now I don't bother to put my eyebrows on in the morning? You know?
A whole catfish.
Something as simple as that counts. It counts in the happiness of your
It
marriage.
does,
It
it
sounds
does.
simple, but it counts.
Because
Did you make up the bed every morning when you just got married and now you're not
now
doing
you're not
it
doing
anymore?
those things.
It's certain things that you can work together, come together and say, listen here, babe, I don't like A, B, and C. And me and Ashley had this not so long ago, about 2 months ago. We were like ready to pack bags and hit the road, Jack. Don't come back no more, no more,
Yeah,
no more.
yeah.
But before we got to the point, we sat down, he said, write down what don't you like about me, what do you miss about me. You write down what. And then when we looked at
That's
it,
lovely.
we had
Sure.
the exact same problems
With each other.
with each other, but we weren't compromising. We weren't
Wow.
speaking to each other to say, this is my issue with you, and that kind of thing. So I believe that if, like you say, if you are missing, don't think about it. Think, how can we move forward
How can we
from
move?
here?
True.
Get in the ring and try to sort it out
Sort it
together.
out.
Yeah, and maybe the recklessness is just you
Be
missing
reckless
spontaneity.
together. If you were
You're
running
missing the
around in your
spontaneity, the
undies,
energy.
Yeah.
run around in your undies now at home. If you
If you don't have kids yet, do the things. Go on those quick vacations, because I
Yeah.
know kids complicate things in the sense that you need to think of, I need to pack this, I need to pack that, I need to,
put on that costume. They're gonna sleep in that costume all the way home. Tomorrow morning we will bath.
you know,
Because you start getting too technical, and that's where you miss the
just
recklessness.
love life, love it and enjoy it.
Marriage is sacred, guys. Amen.
There we
Amen.
go.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you, Anka. Thank you, Jess, for taking out your time. Jess has to really run. She was supposed to be done to her next appointment. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for all the comments in the comment section. Hope to see you next time. I'm not sure if I'm on next week, but hopefully I'm enjoying this. It's nice. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget to subscribe. Please like the video. If you have anything left to say, comment down below. We'll get right back to you if you have any advice for us. Thank you so much. Ciao.
Bye.
In the shadows, as I look upon my life, in the shadows, there's a passion inside. Heaven knows I'm living my dreams. In the shadows, as I look upon my life, in the shadows, there's a passion inside.